Welcome to this tutorial brought to you by River City Graphics. Today I'll be showing you how to adjust audio within Adobe Premiere. So to get started, we're going to open up Premiere. And to get started, I'm just going to take and drag on some footage that I have. And this footage is some that I took at VidCon of Philip DeFranco talking, so you can...
And then I found, you might not know some of these names, Boheme, Renetto, Paper Lilies.
You can see that's just the footage, but basically what we're going to be working with on this today is just the audio. So I'm just going to take and kind of crush this down so that we can actually have a little bit more room to work. Alright, so the first thing that you can do when adjusting your audio is basically whenever you drag a clip onto your stage, it has a line here, and you can see that there's this yellow line. If you don't see it on YouTube, you can take and up the video resolution, the HD option, and then go full screen. You should be able to see this line here. Basically, that's the level, that's where the audio is. So if you take and lower this yellow line down, you can see that it now says negative 12.73 decibels. So basically, by moving this up or down, you're adding or removing decibels, which is a unit of sound. And so basically, you're changing the volume up or down. So now if I take and play it,
And I was into it. I was like leaving comments and doing that,
it's definitely a lot softer. So that's basically how you can do that. So I'm just going to undo that. Now, if you want a little bit more refining over this, you can take and go up to Window and then down to Audio Mixer. Or you can go to Audio Master Levels, and it'll bring up this little box here. You may need to select your specific sequence, and then it'll bring it up. So what you want to do with this is it pretty much gives you a little bit more options. You can see you have kind of a scale rather than trying to move this line. So if you wanted to move it down 12 or so, and then you can actually take and type in a number right there. So you get a little bit more of a fine-tuned adjustment. As well, I'm going to take and move this back up to 0. And you can also take and adjust the left and right balance for your audio. And basically what that is which side of the speaker that sound will come out on. So if I take and drag this all the way to the left so it's at negative 100, then it's only going to play the audio from that on my left speaker. Now if I take and do this on the right side, sometimes it's just easier to type in a value because the knob's a little weird, then it will take and play it only on the right. So you've probably heard this before in like songs. You'll hear certain instruments, if you're listening to them on like headphones, you'll hear them on the left or the right. This is kind of how you can do it with your video. So I'm just going to take and put that back at 0 so that we don't have that to deal with later, but that's just how you can get a little bit more fine-tuned. So the next thing I wanted to show you is actually how you can take and maybe fade in or fade out your audio. So if you remember in my last video, if you saw that where I was taking and animating things using this motion right here, whenever you click on any video clip, you'll have some options already. And now the same thing if you click on an audio clip. Now these two are linked, so it'll bring up both video and audio. But with your audio, you will always have the audio effect of volume. So what you're going to do is just click the little triangle to bring that down, and you'll have bypass and level. And level is what we're going to be messing with today. So basically, you can set keyframes here. So I'm just going to move back to the beginning. And as you can hear, as I'm kind of going through, you can hear the audio, so that helps when you're editing. So if you want to hear the audio, you can scrub through. And if you don't want to hear any audio for that particular track, you can take and toggle this little volume here, and then it's basically like muting the clip. So I'm just going to put it back to the beginning. And then what we can do is take and click the little keyframe button right here in order to add a keyframe. So that's what our starting volume is going to be. So for our starting volume, I'm just going to have it fade in from nothing. So I'm just going to drag it all the way to the left, which apparently is negative 287.5 decibels. So now let's say we want to maybe over the course of this much time we want him to gradually get louder so it can kind of fade into the clip. And so then I'll take and click another keyframe, and what that's going to be is it should be 0. If it's not, we can take and set that and hit it at 0, and one of these is 0 and one of them is what we don't want. For some reason, if you're not exactly on the keyframe, it will add a second one. So if that happens to you, just take and move it over and delete it. It's really easy to do. If it's just a tiny bit off, then you're over like one frame, it'll add in a second keyframe, but you can see I just deleted it and added in a new one. So basically now if we take and play it,
and then I found, you might not know some of these names, Boheme, Renetto, Paper Lilies, and
now you can see that it's basically taken and faded into the audio. And if you look down here where our little line was before, now you can see that you actually have a point here, and you have a point here, and you have a curve in between them that's going up. And so basically you can get all kinds of fancy audio, and you can fade in things and fade out things that you don't want, or you want to kind of lead into your audio clip, or maybe fade out at the end of your video. So you can do some pretty cool things with your audio just by keyframing it. So another thing that you can do is actually, you'll see here, if I wanted to say make him get super loud, you would think you would just drag this up, because you can go to negative 287. You'd think you can go to at least positive 287, but it only caps it off at 6, so you can only get an increase of 6 decibels by doing that. So it's kind of problematic if you want something that's really soft to kind of be better in sound. So what you want to do is take, and you can click on your audio, right click, and then go down to, it's off screen, but audio gain. So it'll bring up the audio gain box, and then you can take and just crank this up as much as you want. Now, I'm not going to preview this because I don't really want me or you to go deaf, but basically it gets really loud as you do this. So you can just really crank this up. It seems that it caps it off at 96, but if you need extra audio that you can't get out of that 6, then that's the way that you can increase it. So the last thing I wanted to show you was if you want to separate your audio and your video layers. So right now, if I take and say I wanted to crop this audio down, I would just drag it, and it cut the video at the exact same time, because when I imported this, the video and the audio are on the exact same, they're the same file, so it takes and links them together. So what you want to do to separate them is take and right click on your audio and then go down to unlink. And so now I can take and click on them individually. You can see that it's selecting them separately from each other. So the reason that you might want to do this, there's actually a number of reasons. One is if you want to do like a voiceover effect. There's basically if you wanted to take and cut some audio together that you took from an external source. Like say you had an external audio recorder, say for instance an iPhone could record better audio than your camera. You would record the video with your camera, you would record the audio with your iPhone, and then you'd take and bring in your audio, and you'd bring in your video, and then you'd take and you'd have to move them separately in order to sync them up. So that's just kind of some other things you can do. I'm just going to show you real quick the voiceover thing, because that's pretty handy. Basically what you'd do is you'd cut your video somewhere. I'm not going to be real picky about this, and then you kind of crop it back on each side where you wanted the voiceover to go, and then you take and you drag in something, say right here I have a YouTube logo, and we'll just kind of cut this in. So basically now we have the audio from the entire clip, and Phil will be talking along.
Paper lilies, and I was into it. I was like leaving comments and doing that, that user that.
And then it'll switch to this image for part of it, but it'll still retain the audio from that original video clip. So that's how you can do some pretty cool voiceover work. You would probably have something more interesting than just the YouTube logo. You might have some actual video of what he was talking about, but you get the idea with how you can cut that in. So I hope you guys learned something in this tutorial, and hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and comment, and check back next week for a new video tutorial. Thanks for watching.